So because of the noise, crocodile was frightened and all the women easily crossed the river. Here they had to climb a steep hillside to get at the grass, but all fell to with avail and sliced away at it wherever there was a foothold to be had. So after crossing the river, they have to climb a hill that was very steep, and wherever they get a hold by their hand or by their foot, they just hold there and climb the hill. Down below them ran a broad river, pouring fully out from its deep narrow pools among the cold cliffs and shadows, spreading into a warm shallow lit by kingfishers. Grey turtles lived there, and Mashir weighed more than 100 pounds. So when they were climbing the river mountain, down there was a river where crocodiles, turtles lived there, and there was a noise of a kingfisher and other animals, and lived in the river, and there was a sound of the waves of the river. Crocodile too, sometimes you could see them lying out of those slabs of clay over there, but there were none to be seen at the moment. Crocodiles also go there to rest for some time near the slabs from where they were climbing the hill, but at that moment there was no crocodile there. Where Sibia was working, wind coming across hundreds of miles of trees cooled her sweating body, and she could look down over the river as if she was a bird. So over the hill, when she was cutting the tree, the air was touching her body or cooling her body and hair, and when she looked at the river, it seemed to her that as if she was a bird. Although she did not dare to stop for a moment under her mother's eye, her imagination took her in a swooping flight over the bright water and golden air to the banks where she had played as a child. When her mother is near, she cannot stop her work, but for a moment she had a memory of her childhood. She could see that place near the bank where she played as a child. In those caverns above the high water mark of the highest flood, she had stored some little boughs molded of clay while they handed. So near the high water there was a small caves, and one of those caves she had kept her clay bowls she had made of them. She kept there to be hardened. If there were anything that could be used for coloring, they would look fine painted, and marigolds and elephants. So she was thinking of them that it might be possible that still they are there, and if they are already hard, she could paint elephants and marigolds, and then they would look nice. Child the shower, the glare at her mother's sweating face pulled Sibia back to work, and they toiled on. So she was lost in her imagination, but when mother called her, she again started working. But at last it was the time to go back to see to their animals and evening meal. Their loaded women set out to cross the river again. So now it was evening. They have to go back to their house to prepare the dinner, and so they took their things, the grass and other, and started coming towards the river. Sibia hung back. She would just dawdle a bit and run and see if the little clay cups were still there in the cave, waiting to be painted and used. So she slowed down her speed, and she from there she went to the caves to see those cups. If they are still there, they would be ready to use for or painted. Although the women were now tired and loaded, they still talked. Those in front yelled to those behind. They crossed the river safely and disappeared up the track into the trees on the other side. Even their voices died away. So either they were tired, they were still talking, making noise. So there was no harm to them. They easily crossed the river, and then they crossed the forest and went to their house. Even their voice died, and it was the evening time. Silence fell. Sibia came down alone to the stepping stones. Now Sibia was alone, who was crossing, coming down. The light of evening was striking up to the George pink and the ultraviolet shadow. Now that the sun was off it, the water poured almost invisible among the stones, with no reflection of show where it began. So now it was almost evening. The pink, yellow, light yellow, pink, and ultraviolet was there. Shadows were there, and the sun was not in the sky. It was almost dark. Even among the stones, water was not visible. Nobody could guess that where is the water and where is the stone. There was no reflection. Sepia stepped on to first stone. She was heavily weighted, her muscles stretched and ached. So when she stepped on the first stone to cross the river, She was feeling weight and was tired. The haycock secreted in the packed dry grass and dug into her collarbone, so close under the skin in spite of the sari bunched up to the snake pad. So she had a pack of grass on her head and a haycock, and that was feeling her itchy. Either there was a pad of sari. When she was halfway over, she put her load down on a big boulder to rest and leaned breathe to the fog. So when has come down from the hill almost half, she sat on the bundle of the fog to take some rest. Here pad means when somebody pick something on the head, they made some roll of a cloth, that is known as a pad. At the same moment, the Gujar woman came down with the two ghadas to the water on the other hand side in order to get the good clear water, which could quickly fill both ghadas to the top without sand. She would walk into the stepping stone. So the other side of the river, there was one Gujar woman who came to fetch the water. So to get the sand free or clear water, she started stepping stone and came into the middle of the river. She was within a yard of the crocodile when he hunged at her. She was just a yard away from the crocodile when crocodile almost lunged at her, means almost attacked her. Up out of the darkling water heaved the great reptile, water slushing off him. His livid jaws yawning and all his teeth flashing as he slashed at her life. There was a great movement into the water. Her teeth flashed, her tail flashed with a great force when he caught that Gujar woman from her leg. The woman screamed, dropped both brass pots with a clatter on the boulder, from whence they bounced to the water, and Sibia saw them bob away in the current. Oh, the two good vessels gone. So from her hand, both the ghadas fell down, and they went bouncing to the water. And Sibia saw the pots and said, "These two were the." It was just a childish comment that two vessels were gone. The Gujar woman recoiled from the crocodile, but his jaws closed to her on her leg at the same moment as she slipped and fell on the bone breaking stone and clutched one of the timber logs to save her. So she tried to save her, but crocodile's jaws were so much tight on her leg, she slipped and on the stone, which was a great force, and she caught one a timber wood to save herself. The log jammed between two boulders with the woman clinging to it and screaming while the crocodile pulled on her leg, thrashing his might tail bang bang to and fro in a great smacking frills as he tried to drag her free and carry her off down into the deeps of the pool. Blood spread everywhere. So woman caught one leg. She held that leg very tightly, was trying to save herself. On the other hand, crocodile was using its complete force to take that woman into the water. He pulled himself to and backward and forward. There was a noise of his tail bang bang because he was trying to drag her into the water and she was trying to save herself. CBS sprang. CBS simply jumped and came interfered. From boulder to boulder, she came leaping like a rock god. Sometimes it had seemed difficult to cross those stones, especially the big gap in the middle where the river crossed through like a bunch of glass. So she jumped from one stone to another stone. Sometimes there was a big gap between the stones, but she did not care. She simply jumped from one stone to another stone like a rock god.